Meantime, to have the left hands.
We over here watching highlights.
The left arms, better yet.
Max, you're over here watching highlights on the 10 TVs we have in the studio in Bristol. And Key's like, watch these throws. And I'm talking about Joe Montana's throws are just
ridiculous.
It's like you're watching poetry in slow-mo.
The dude was so cool, under pressure.
Look at this. Watch this throw right here. I mean, it's just crazy. Look
moving
at this
out
dime.
of pocket, just
man, Brady ain't moving like that and throwing that laser, man. It's not happening.
A little bit of like, he got a little Pat Mahomes.
Oh, God, don't stop.
Montana, listen, when it comes down to, hey, can Mahomes ever catch Brady if he wins like 5 chips? I mean, that's one of the reasons this Super Bowl and the legacy of Mahomes is such a big deal. You got to get to at least 2, right? But
look at these throws on E2, though, man.
Montana's the one everyone's like, what about Joe Montana? And whenever you bring up Joe Montana, everyone, I don't care what side of the debate you're on, goes, yeah. Joe Montana was bad. Yeah, he was the man.
And he was cool.
Cool, man. Still to this day is cool. Yeah. We're watching highlights.
I'm sorry. Y'all need to take these highlights out because I'm going to be watching them and be quiet. Look at this throw to Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone. Oh, God.
He got 3 dudes on him.
Sprint right option. Bam.
Woo.
All right, so how does Brady's retirement affect today's quarterback landscape, right? We're talking history in Montana. What happens with the Bucs? Are the 49ers sold on Trey Lance? What about teams who are looking at Brady and Rodgers and talking at least internally, hey, should we make a run at one of these 2 guys? We're going to have to give up a lot to get Rodgers, but Brady's a free agent. Kyle Shanahan, 49ers head coach, at the press conference on Jimmy G's future.
Is there a scenario in which you guys could see Jimmy being back, and if so, what would that look like?
No, I don't see any scenario of that.
Okay. Definitive.
So in other words, we don't want that.
No, that's not for us.
Which is smart. I mean,
if you got 3 quarterbacks, too, and they're all injured or injury prone.
Injury-riddled quarterback room doesn't help you. You got one guy that was making $20+ million. You got a bunch of young dudes on rookie contracts, 2 young dudes on rookie contracts. You want to see Trey Lance and the OTAs coming up here in the next several months. And Brock Purdy, whether he has surgery or not, he's going to be at least a 6+ month recovery process while he's trying to do that and trying to get back on the field. You've got to go out and sign a veteran quarterback at some point that makes a lot of sense that can actually play football. This team is too good.
Ooh.
This team is too good to bypass and put all your, eggs in the basket?
Eggs in the basket.
Yeah, eggs in the basket on Trey Lance, and you just don't know what's going to happen. I'm not anticipating Brock Purdy to play, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm not anticipating him to get on the field and contribute to this team before the start of the season. It just, when you say 6 months plus, you got to extend that for some odd reason something goes wrong.
So wait a second, though. I just want to put this in perspective because I feel like we always move the goalposts here as it relates to the 49ers because now it's like they have to go find a veteran quarterback. They went all in on Trey Lance. Like, are we going to hold them somewhat accountable for all the the picks that they left up to go get Trey Lance, considering the Jimmy G situation? Or is it just like, okay, they're allowed to pivot and move and do something else, go find a veteran quarterback? Trey Lance was supposed to be their guy. They moved heaven and earth to go get Trey Lance.
I think Trey Lance played in 3 games in 2 years. He's been hurt.
Yeah, that's the issue, Jay. You're right, but the injury changes.
I hear you.
It's a team that's ready to go.
That's
that team
the
is
thing,
ready to go.
When they drafted Trey Lance, it was like, can we do a smooth transition from what we have, game manager, this and that, to plus, to more of an athletic, we want Mahomes, Josh Allen, someone with extra. And we'll develop him behind our solid guy, and then he'll be ready to go. But, Jay, the injury changes everything, right? He doesn't have the experience they were hoping he would have. And now the solid guy, injury-prone Garoppolo, is gone. They don't want him back. And Brock Purdy, the other guy, who he looks nice, he's not going to be available for a while. What do you do?
So you're talking about options like Derek Carr?
But the Raiders got a problem, too.
I hear you. A lot of teams, that's what the asking price.
So if the Raiders, and I don't even think the Raiders have given permission to Derek Carr and his people to even seek a trade. So now, when you look at it, this whole Brady thing kind of messed up the quarterback landscape, in my opinion, by him retiring because teams have very little options at the quarterback position. in terms of quarterback that they need for their team, right?
Mm-hmm.
This affects what the New York Giants want to do with Daniel Jones,
No doubt.
the Raiders want to do now all
His
of a
price
sudden.
went up.
With Carr, it may affect what Green Bay process thinking is in terms of Love and Rodgers. So it's a whole bunch of stuff. Because what's out there? You don't. If Carson Wentz becomes available, you're not touching that. Okay, Matt Ryan, you're not. What is that? So you start looking at the quarterbacks. Say, Kirk Cousins, what is that? Sam Darnold, what is that? Like I could go on and on about a list of quarterbacks. Carr probably is at the top of the availability list if you can pry him open without giving up compensation the way you would have to give for Rodgers. So the 49ers now have to say, do I waste Christian McCaffrey, his years? Do I waste Nick Bosa years? Like, I got to think about these sort of things, and that's what they're going through.
Or they get a good, solid backup, and they say, look, as Jay said, we made our bed. Now we got to lie in it, right? You set the table, you got to eat. Any metaphor like that. In chess, sometimes someone prepares to castle, right? They move the stuff out so they can castle, and then they hesitate, and they wind up losing the game. Like you got to, when you have a plan, at a certain point, you got to follow through. And Key, even if you believe, and I think you're right, look, but he doesn't have the experience they were anticipating. It may be the best option if he truly is ready for OTAs.
You got to go
start Trey Lance. To follow through on your plan, even if it's a little early.
You could just say, you know what, forget it. I think we have enough because we got a solid defense. And even if we dropped him back 15 times a game until he's ready, and we got Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams and company, by the way, who's not getting any younger at the left tackle position, we may be able to play old bully ball and get somewhere until this kid is developed.
Look at what they did with Daniel Jones in New York,
would you think they don't have a choice to do that? I mean, they wouldn't have a choice.
Yeah, but the problem, I don't know. But the problem is, when I'm looking at it, he's been hurt.
I understand that.
And so when he's been hurt, I don't know what's going to happen again.
But
now for the third time,
think about what Daboll did with Daniel Jones, right? Who has certain similarities. He's fast. He can throw it. He was inexperienced. He turned the ball over. They didn't know. So nice, safe, and sound. You design runs. You let him run if it's there. You make safe throws. And they have more than the Giants do, right?
I absolutely. Like, if it was me and I was running the team, I probably would just go with it and just, here's what we're going to do. The problem is I have a guy who hasn't been available to me. And then all of a sudden I get into the 7th game of the year and he's not available again.
You're going to have to find out in real time, too, if that lack of availability and that lack of evidence and data you have on him, if it turns out to be bad news or good news. And part of that's going to be on Shanahan. And
this is a big boy business, too, Jay.
I get it.
It's not like, I know you get it, but it's such a big boy business.
I just wonder, could they find a way to get enough capital to try to be in the Aaron Rodgers game? Because if you're green, I don't think so. I mean, you just think Aaron Rodgers 49ers, and I know the money isn't probably going to work, but that seems like the perfect fit out of all the fits in the world.
I always wondered
for the 49ers, right? Ready to win now. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. You talk about Aaron Rodgers, but if you're Green Bay, you're like, all right, like who's going to give me the most for Aaron Rodgers? And San Fran probably don't got the most to give.
Everyone who says, it can't happen because of X, Y, and Z, but
meantime, to have the left hands.
We over here watching highlights.
Left arms, better yet.
Max, you're over here watching highlights on the 10 TVs we have in the studio in Bristol. And Key's like, watch these throws. And I'm talking about Joe Montana's throws are just
ridiculous.
It's like you're watching poetry in slow-mo.
The dude was so cool, under pressure.
Look at this. Watch this throw right here. I mean, it's just crazy. Look
moving
at this
out of the pocket. Just
Brady ain't moving like that and throwing that laser, man. It's not happening.
It's a little bit of he got a little Pat Mahomes.
Oh, God, don't stop.
Montana, listen, when it comes down to, hey, can Mahomes ever catch Brady if he wins like 5 chips? I mean, that's one of the reasons this Super Bowl and the legacy of Mahomes is such a big deal. You got to get to at least 2, right? But
look at these throws on E2, though, man.
Montana's the one everyone's like, what about Joe Montana? And whenever you bring up Joe Montana, everyone, I don't care what side of the debate you're on, goes, yeah. Joe Montana was bad. Yeah, he was the man.
And he was cool.
Cool, man. Still to this day is cool. Yeah. We're watching highlights.
I'm sorry.
On ESPN too.
Y'all need to take these highlights out because I'm going to keep watching them to be quiet. Look at this throw to Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone. Oh, God.
He got
Three
three
dudes
dudes
on.
on him.
Sprint right option. Bam.
Woo!
All right. So how does Brady's retirement affect today's quarterback landscape, right? We're talking history in Montana. What happens with the Bucs? Are the 49ers sold on Trey Lance? What about teams who are looking at Brady and Rodgers and talking, at least internally, hey,